Hello, today we'll be looking at navigating around the directories on an Ubuntu style system. Some of the same concepts will apply to Windows, but generally this is going to be useful for people who have a Macintosh type system or a Linux or Unix style system. So currently we're in the home directory, noted by the tilde here. And if we want to see more about what's inside the directory, we'll use ls, which is abbreviated for list. But you type ls, and that's L as in llama, and you see everything inside that is public there. If you want to see everything, the sort of the unabridged version, you add the -a flag, A as in apple, and you get everything that includes a dot in front of it. Different file systems have different ways of hiding these, or even not hiding these, but typically when you see a dot prefixing any file or directory, it means it is hidden. ls shows a little bit, ls-a shows a lot. And if you want to move up or down in the file structure, because this is a file structure like a tree, you can Google a tree data structure. You say, I want to go to the apps folder. You say cd change directory, cd apps. Capitalization is a critical component. As you can see, if I type in apps, no such file. Apps. Here we are. Inside we have a few different files, and if we want to see the exact path we're in, we use print working directory, another abbreviation for the pwd command. You'll notice there's a lot of abbreviations when it comes to typing, and we can literally take this output, copy it, paste it, paste it of course with a proper command in front of it, and we'll go to the same directory there. We can also do the same with the home directory. We can do print working directory. I'm in the home folder under the Max user, which is the current user I'm logged in as. Let's try and copy this again. And we can change directory to something else, let's say downloads. So we're in the downloads, and we'd like to go back to home. So we just do cd, we paste the value that we copied up here, and we are back home. All right, so let's say you have a project you're working on. We're in the main home folder here. So let's say you're in a workspace and you're working on let's say a Jenkins configuration, but you also have another path you want to go to for let's say a Python project. So we're here in the Python directory, and this is where you'll do your development, or say Python, run my program. This is this can be tough. So you'll say okay, cd backup, and then Jenkins, or say, oh, was it backup one directory and then Jenkins? No, that's not right. So it gets old switching back and forth. You can always just do the new tab, and have a whole new tab, and say go back up to Jenkins, and just do an Alt-1 or Alt-2 to swap between them. So I'm pressing Alt-1 here to go to tab 1, Alt-2 to go to tab 2. And here I'm in the Python directory. Great. And here I can make my Jenkins change, or run my Jenkins program or whatever. It's fine. This is a totally fine way to work. You can copy and paste easily between the directories. But if you just want to stay in one directory and you'll be hot swapping between two directories, you can always just do a cd hyphen or cd minus, and it will take you to the last visited directory. And if maybe you're done with Jenkins, so you've made all your config changes, and when you do a cd hyphen, you don't want to go to Jenkins, you can just hop on over and do a cd to workspace, and say your playground and you have your, like, your, I don't know, like, let's say a Twilio integration you're doing. So you can do cd minus, you're back to Python. So it'll always swap between the last two. It's kind of like swapping between the last, like a command, tilde, and you're swapping between two browsers. So just keep that in mind if you find yourself swapping between multiple directories or copy pasting, or maybe you just want to check the directory structure and say, like, okay, what do I want to, maybe I want to copy something from here to the other directory, but you just want to, make sure you have the right path and everything. All right, so let's talk about moving around the command line. This isn't going to be about moving around directories, not the file structure, essentially. It's going to be about moving around this command line. So I have a command here. Whoops. I have a command here that is what I'll call the active terminal line. So this is where if you press enter, it will start installing these things using the apt install command. And this is sort of live. So to start, we can say, like, okay, I've made some horrible error and I need to delete this line. I just need to discard it. So we would say alt shift hash. That'll be alt shift and the 3 key, or the hash key, the octothorpe. And if we wanted to edit that again and say, well, I guess that was just a small typo I made, like maybe I wanted to remove this -dev, I could hit the up arrow key to go back into my history, or down to go forward and closer to the present line, which, there's nothing in my present working history here, so it's just a blank line. But if I push up arrow, we're back. Now that hash here at the front, that'll be a problem. That'll be read as a comment, essentially, and the shell will just say, hey, I'm going to ignore this line. So we don't want that. So what we want to do is move to the front of the line. You could just hold the left arrow. It took a little while, and most people will say, oh, not a big deal, just hold the left arrow. If you end up being any sort of IT person, developer, operations, sysadmin, this adds up. Adds up quite a bit, especially if you're looking at the entirety of your career. And what is a minor hassle becomes a major time suck, and you want to avoid repetitive stress injuries as well. And you just you know where you want to go, and you want to get there faster. So we're going to move back to the back, and I did that with Control E. Maybe different on your keyboard. You may use some sort of dedicated keyboard or hotkey, but these are hotkeys just like a refresh key on a browser. If you went to Control R or Windows R or Command R, it'll be just like a hotkey like that. As long as you have the shell and the terminal selected, the hotkeys will be picked up by the shell. So let's take care of that beginning line. So let's move back to the front with a Control A, and we'll just move over one and delete it. And we'll move back to the end, the Control E. That's E as in echo. So we want to delete dev, and we could delete the whole word. A word is considered something where a space character is here. So these two, this separator here, this space character that the cursor is currently on, that's the separator between two words. And the two words are going to be libfontconfig1-dev and libgles2mesadev. So these two are two words right here. And if we want to delete the whole word to the left, which we don't right now, we just want to delete dev, we can just do a simple Control W, and that is actually a cut, like a cut and paste, and we can paste that back in with a Control Y. But you can treat it as a delete. There's no harm in doing so. In this case, we just want to delete the dev, so we'll just Control H or backspace essentially. You may not be in a situation where you want to use the backspace key for some reason, but Control H and backspace or delete, whatever your key is there, are going to be essentially interchangeable. If you wanted to delete something on the cursor, like let's say we wanted this to be a space character instead of a dash or a hyphen, we would do a Control D and then hit the space bar. So again, Control D will delete what's underneath the cursor. And if we wanted to just cancel this line altogether without the Alt-Shift 3 number pad character, we could just do a Control C. Control C is the stop or kill command. It is a special signal that's used in programming as well, so it's good to be aware of that. But if you're in some sort of situation where you have a terminal up or a command running, you can always Control C out and it will look like that. So I just press Control C a few times there, and that ~C, whenever you see that in a log or something, you know that that's a signal interrupt or a Control C that could be sent by a user or by a program. So let's say we have a command here where we have mistakenly swapped install and apt. So as you can see above, the typical way to do it is apt install. You pass the install command to the apt program. Here we've made a mistake, so this will cause an error. You could go back, retype it, but instead I'm just going to Control B on over there, or excuse me, Alt B to move one word at a time. F to go forward, of course, Alt F. But the command we want to swap is it is a built-in command as part of the terminal. So we just want to make sure the cursor is on the word itself that we want to swap. So we want to move apt to the left here, and we'll just do a Control or Alt T, and that's Alt, A-L-T, Alt T, and there, swapped. So way easier than typing, and you can just continually swap over and over. It doesn't have to be on the word itself. It will use, it will be simpler if you say, hey, I want to swap install, so I'm going to be on install, and you can be right in the middle and just install like that. As you can see, if you're in the space character here and you do an Alt-T, it swaps that way, which is it's kind of expected, but you want to always find expected behavior when you're doing these commands, and just make a habit of it. All right, so you've loaded up your OS and you've logged in. How do you go about getting to a terminal, and what exactly is a terminal? So on most OSs, there's a hotkey of some kind. It'll differ. You'll have to Google around, but on mine here in Ubuntu, whatever the long-term support version is, I just press Control-Alt-T, and we have a new terminal. And you'll know you're loaded up when you see your username there, whatever your user you're logged in with, and your machine name. Again, whatever you've named it, there may be a default name. Here we are in the terminal. So Control-Alt-T, give that a shot. And again, I had no program was selected there, so it was the OS itself picking up that hotkey. Once it's open, you can open new ones and new tabs within it, and close them. Just pressing Control-Shift-T there to open them. There's also the standard GUI way. But this terminal, if you go to your installed applications, and again, there will be different ways of getting here depending on your operating system. You'll see it's just called terminal. There's a lot of things you can do with different types of shells and terminals, so you can install and update and really change the configuration. This is the GNOME terminal, Unix shell environment, and you'll see that you'll see like Unix shell type environments. Usually it's the differences between Unix and Windows type environments, and that's it. So just keep an eye out for these kinds of icons. This is fairly predominant, like almost an emoji set, I think, but anything called a terminal and allows you to use the command line is where you'll find all this.